Today we're going to be testing a couple of Electrifying.com favourites to see how they fare head to head. And at just under £51,000, they are both bang on the money, even if that is quite a lot of money. Please say hello to the World Car of the Year for 2023, the Hyundai IONIQ 6, and me, Ginny Buckley.
Versus me, Nikki Shields, and this, the ever popular Tesla Model 3. Now, I'm not competitive, but I am going to just throw it out there and say, clearly, I've bought the right car.
No, you haven't.
I have, look at it. Times 100, no comebacks.
Should we make it slightly more scientific than that?
No, playground chat is excellent. That's all we need.
Before we get to the science part, don't forget, subscribe to the channel and switch your notifications on, because if you're into electric cars, this is the place to be.
It is indeed.
Do you know what the most important thing to consider is when you are buying an electric car? Having driven them for many years now, I'm starting to believe that it is efficiency.
Oh, what? That's a bit of a letdown. What? So, I mean, this is pretty much the second biggest purchase most of us will make in our life. Surely it's about the design, the technology, the performance, the speed. The list goes on. Is it really all just boiling down to efficiency?
Nikki, efficiency is the new rock and roll. It's all about how many miles you can eke out of every kilowatt hour.
You've changed, Ginny Buckley. You've changed.
I have changed, but you know, it's for good reason. And efficiency really is the key thing about these two cars. It's something that is brilliant about both of them.
And I suppose you are going to save a bit of money.
That's true. And saving money is not the only thing that you'll get, because you will also get to go a bit further as well. Okay?
I mean, it's not sounding rock and roll yet, but I'm prepared to listen. Now, when it comes to running an electric car with minimum fuss, you can't beat a Tesla. This is a long-range all-wheel drive, and you're looking at a car that has a 75 kilowatt-hour usable battery and a WLTP range of 374 miles. Now, according to the maths, that's 4.98 miles per kilowatt. Beat that.
Well, if you want to be efficient, you've got to be slick. And what is slicker than the streamlined shape of the Hyundai IONIQ 6? Well, a Tesla Model 3, apparently. But only just. Because here we have a long-range all-wheel drive 6 with a 74 kilowatt-hour usable battery that delivers 364 miles on the standard WLTP official cycle. So that makes 4.91 miles per kilowatt hour.
Oh, now that is pretty close. And let's face it, anything over 4 miles per kilowatt hour is excellent. So come on, Ginny, convince me. How is the Hyundai better than the Tesla? Now, I warn you, this is not going to be an easy one.
I'm going to start.
Okay, go on
and
then.
I'm going to start strong, because I think the IONIQ 6 is one of the most striking cars to go on sale in the past few years. Perhaps second only to its stablemate, the IONIQ 5.
Yeah, fine, I'll give you that. Striking.
Striking. And before you ask, stop laughing, it's not a saloon.
What is it, Ginny?
It's a streamliner.
Okay.
And it has a drag coefficient of 0.21.
What does that mean?
If that is gobbledygook to you, what that means is that thanks to lots of clever trickery, including its shape, it is one of the most efficient electric cars on sale right now. And you know, whatever you might say about the looks, and I get they are divisive, it certainly stands out from the crowd.
One of the things I do really like, which you see dotted around everywhere, are the pixels. Yeah. The rear lights on the spoiler, down the side of the car, on the wing mirror, the lights at the front, they're all in the interior as well. And I think it kind of brings together the style and the design of this car. You know, the other downside is, if you are planning to rob a bank, you're going to be very identifiable in that. Whereas in this, you're just going to blend into the backdrop.
Right, okay.
You don't need to tell me if you're planning one or not. No, the Model 3, look, this has been the same design. It's been around since 2017. Yeah. And, well, it hasn't changed, which I think is a good thing, because it means it's really stood the test of time. It looks good. It's a really, really popular car. There is maybe one downside. The only non-cost colour, i.e. you don't have to pay anything for it, is this colour in the white. And that means, of course, it's become a very popular choice. Some might say it's become a little common. So we do see a lot of them on our roads. But personally, I think, you know, it's a bit like the old classic large iPhone. Why? change the design if it ain't broke.
Let me just pick you up on colour.
Yeah.
If you want your Tesla Model 3 in black, say, like the 6, it's going to cost you over £1,000. Now, I
Not
happen
ideal.
to really like red cars, and both of these cars look great in red.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually think the Model 3 class.
Really good in red. But that's going to cost you £665 in the 6, over £2,000 for a red Model 3.
Wow.
So I think that's quite clear. I win this round.
What are they painting it with? But hang on a minute. Whoa. We haven't finished this discussion.
Come on, in you go.
See, I knew you'd like it in here. That's why you picked it first. What is not to like? Take a look around. Enjoy your panoramic roof.
Okay.
The minimalist, innovative feel. I like it. What do you think?
I will give you that. I have always loved Tesla interiors. I love the interior of the Model 3. Look, I think it's so focused on tech and on the screen that it does take some getting used to. There's no like getting into this and just going, you've got to do your homework. But once you do, it is absolutely brilliant, I think.
Yeah, I agree. To be fair, I've actually not always been a fan of the interior of all Teslas, to be honest, because I quite enjoy having all the buttons and things at my fingertips. But if you want something that's quite simple, pared back, it's quite a calm environment to be in, then it is really nice. But you do have to invest time, effort, energy getting to know this, because otherwise, when you need to quickly suddenly change the wing mirrors and you don't know where the button is, it's a right pain. So it's worth getting to know. But once you have invested that time, it is a really nice, enjoyable experience. There's also a few kind of quirky things that it comes with. Some might say slightly pointless things, but I know you're a fan.
I know, I'm a child at heart. I am a fan of the toy box. And Tesla may want you to pay more for your exterior paint colour, but in here, you can customise your digital car to your heart's content. What should we have? Metallic green, maybe? It's completely pointless. I mean, there's so much of the tech, like the whoopee cushion and the fire, that is pointless. But I just like the fact that it's there. And actually, the technology on this is really second to none. Some of the build quality in places is a bit new, and some of the plastics not quite as nice. But really, it's all about this, isn't it?
And there's also practical things like plenty of storage, and here, and you've got your wireless charging and your cup holders. And I do love the look and feel of this amazing roofline. It just gives you that feeling of space instantly. And yeah, the minimalists and quite futuristic feel that it comes with. And I think the seats are comfortable.
I don't really.
I know, I don't know why.
They're not massively comfortable. I mean, they're not uncomfortable.
I could happily spend some time in here. Plus, there's plenty of room in the rear seats and a nice big frunk at 88 litres and a huge boot. That's 561 litres all told. Although that does include this bit down here. And worth noting that it is still a car with a boot. And I always think the Model 3 should be a hatch.
So this is where I smile smugly and say, I said the seats were more comfortable.
They are, you are right. They are very comfortable. I really like the position of the headrest. It's just in the right spot. You know how sometimes they can be a bit far forward, so it kind of pushes your neck and head. This is a point to you, Ginny. And also, I hate to admit it, the fabric.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Recycled plastic. Very nice.
Yeah, they've got recycled fishing nets for the carpets. The headliner is recycled plastics as well.
Sorry, what are we pointing at? Oh, there seems to be something missing. A lovely panoramic glass roof. Feels a bit claustrophobic in here, I must say. Not much light.
You can opt
not
for
very
that.
spacious.
You can opt for it. You can opt for it. What it does have that you can't opt for on the Tesla is physical buttons. So you've got the two screens. Right. This left one is a touch screen. All the information you need right here in the driver's sight line. Loads of sort of buttons on the steering wheel, physical buttons down here. It feels more like a conventional car in here. It's not as futuristic as the Tesla, which I think a lot of people will like, but it has the benefits of an electric car because it's got loads of space, this sort of central storage area with this brilliant compartment underneath.
But that's not really a compartment, is it? It's a bit of space that has the sides open, so you're not really going to use it because then it just looks like clutter and mess. And...
I put my handbag in there all the time.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Your handbag wouldn't fit in there.
My handbag fits in there.
Not a chance.
It
You
does.
have a huge handbag.
Can somebody get our handbags? Huh. Oh, thank you. Look.
You bought a small handbag.
This is my
She never has.
This
a
is my
small
handbag. Look,
that's her new
it
Stella
fits
McCartney
perfectly.
handbag.
I bet your handbag will fit in there. Let's try yours. Nikki's handbag.
I am just back from holiday and
Nikki?
I haven't unpacked.
What?
It might be my day beach basket.
It's not a handbag. That's basically carry-on luggage. Put it in the boot.
Yeah, that's not going to fit.
Oh,
It barely fits in the footwell.
Okay.
Okay, so we're small
more
handbag.
More storage.
Fine.
Also gets over-the-air updates, just like the Tesla. It doesn't have a whoopee cushion though. Just give up on the storage. The storage, you smashed it on the storage.
Okay, all right.
So it doesn't have a whoopee cushion, but I think yes, the Tesla may win on tech, but this wins on practicality and functionality.
Yeah, fine. I mean, I hate to admit it, but you're right on all of those things.
Another one to me. Brilliant.
Apart from whoa. No. Apart from the handbag.
I'm going.
Just
I'm going.
let me
going.
talk. She just talked at me.
My handbag fits.
Talked at me.
And you would think with that sloping roofline that the IONIQ 6 might be a bit lacking in rear headroom. But honestly, it's really not that bad at all. In fact, it's a bit better than the Model 3. And it gets 4 heated seats in this spec, which is very nice. One thing I will say though, the 6's boot is just over 400 litres, which is way smaller than the Tesla's. And the frunk is over 15 litres smaller, which makes the Tesla the more practical car.
Right, now on to my favourite part, the driving, of course. And I'm still convinced that I've backed the right horse, mainly because the Model 3 has the most horses. Yes, this normal little average electric car has a whopping 500 brake horsepower, well almost. But that is completely bonkers. So if you were contemplating racing me at the traffic lights, well, don't, because the dual motor Model 3 has 4-wheel drive and can get from 0 to 62 miles per hour in under 4.5 seconds. Impressive, my little beauty. On top of that, it can manage a top speed of 155 miles per hour, which is actually something that electric cars tend to do quite badly at. Although, don't think about it for too long, because there's actually very little point of having a top speed of 155 miles per hour, unless of course you live near the German Autobahn, which you probably don't. But better than all of that, which I'm sure a lot of you already know, is that the Model 3 handles really, really well. Now, I'm not convinced that this feels like a sports car as such, but it does feel sporty. The ride's fair, the steering is positive, and yep, there is always plenty of power available for that cheeky overtake. Overall, it's a really well-rounded drive, plenty of performance, and ultimately you can see why the Tesla Model 3 is so popular with drivers.
So, the IONIQ 6 is a much more sedate proposition, though it is not slow. With 321 brake horsepower and a 0 to 62 time of a smidge over 5 seconds, I reckon this dual motor long range version has all the performance that most of us will ever need. It's also described as being a relaxing drive, and it is, mostly. When you're on a smooth bit of road like this, cruising along, this is a really enjoyable car to drive. It's quiet, it's calm, it's got a nice gentle ride. It's a really excellent long distance driver. It just gets thrown off a little bit if you're on a bumpy B road, just a bit of a wobble there, but certainly compared to the Model 3, it is a comfortable ride. Now, with 2 motors and all-wheel drive, there's never any lack of traction. And all the things that I like about the IONIQ 5, the brake regen via paddles behind the steering wheel, and also, yes, these comfy seats, let me mention those again, all of that is present and correct. And yes, it also has a selection of driving modes, although to be honest, I don't really use them much, I just keep it in efficiency most of the time. So the Tesla is faster and sportier, but the Hyundai is gentler and more relaxing. You pay your money and all that. One thing I will point out though is these quite annoying reflections in the windscreen. I don't know if the camera can pick them up, but parts of the interior and the trim get reflected in the windscreen, and it is really quite irritating. And also, probably a bad time to mention this because I can't show it to you because I'm driving, but the key. It feels like something from another era, and it feels a bit cheap. And it just sort of feels a bit odd when you compare it to, you know, the high-tech app-operated Model 3. I just wish Hyundai had just given a bit more thought to that. These little things do matter.
One of the reasons of buying a Tesla is obviously the brilliant supercharger network. And yes, it's still brilliant. Even if some select locations are now opening up to other makes of cars, it's convenient, quick, and all automatic. No faffing with your phone or credit cards. It's genius. It's also generally very reliable and superchargingly fast. The Model 3 can charge up to 250 kilowatt DC, which means 10 to 80% charge should take about 27 minutes at a Tesla charging point in ideal conditions, adding over 200 miles of range. And if you want to be really precise, 210. Plus, the standard heat pump and general slickness of Tesla electronics means the WLTP range is 375 miles, which should mean genuine high 200s real-world range. And that is going to be plenty enough for most people. In fact, one of the biggest selling points of a Tesla is that it's probably the easiest car to live with if you do lots of miles. And yes, Teslas can also use any normal charger as well, so you really do have loads of options available. It'll take around 12 hours to charge from flat to full on a standard home wall box, but has 11 kilowatt AC ability if you need it. Now I think that is another massive bonus point for the Model 3.
Not so fast, my friend, because one of the things the Hyundai does exceptionally well is charging. Like the Model 3, it has a heat pump fitted as standard. But the IONIQ 6 also has something called 800 volt charging, which basically means it can accept a higher charge rate for longer than a 400 volt car like the Model 3. Now, this is something you usually find in more expensive cars like Porsches and some Audis. That means that although it has a peak charging rate of 233 kilowatts, a little less than the Model 3, it can hold its maximum flow for longer. So a 10 to 80% charge takes just 16 minutes. Okay, it's a slightly smaller battery, but that is seriously convenient. However, the big if is, can you find a powerful enough charger, which isn't a given. This car has a 74 kilowatt hour battery, which gives you 364 miles of official WLTP range. We've been averaging around 340, which is pretty close. Now, one thing I really like about the 6 is how it gives you easy to find information about efficiency and how much driving range you have left. You can find it on the Model 3, but it's just nowhere near as straightforward. And I think that for many first-time electric drivers in particular, the way it's displayed on the 6 is just more intuitive and easier to understand.
Now, we said this was going to be hard at the beginning, but it is time to come to a bit of a conclusion. Let's start off with the cold, hard facts, starting off with price. Because a reminder that at the time of filming, there's only 500 quid in it between these two. So when you're spending almost 51 grand, they're basically priced the same.
They are, and it's the same when you work them out on monthly payments as well. So that's 747, 721. So again, really pretty close. I think where the 6 is better than the 3 is on insurance. It's less expensive to insure.
Yeah, that is true. And also, this has a longer warranty. So our approach for this, I think, is more to reflect on you as an individual and your driving habits. What is it that you want to get out of a car? The Model 3, I think, is for the tech lovers amongst you who are up for trying to get to know a different way of driving, and also someone that maybe isn't reliant on just home charging and charging at work and will be reliant on the public charger network, because Tesla still have that secret weapon up their sleeve. They have this incredible supercharger network, and we shouldn't forget about that because it is a huge bonus. So if you are going to be using the public charging network a lot, then having that access is going to be key.
Yeah, you really summed the three up well there. And I think actually this has got a very sort of different ownership proposition as well. It's the more sort of practical, intuitive, familiar choice. You know, it isn't tech on wheels, it is a really comfortable car with some great technology. Another thing to point out is that over the past few days, as we've been driving both these cars, we have worked out that actually the IONIQ 6 is more efficient than the Model 3. So we crunched the numbers, and it quite surprises a bit. That, didn't
we
it?
weren't expecting that for sure.
So, and on that note, I think it's time for a verdict. Do we have a verdict?
Right, that would be a conclusion, and I think the answer is actually no, we don't. Because we've been trying to come to a conclusion, but actually it's going to be a tie, which doesn't happen on electrifying.com. But I think these cars have two very different personalities, and it's really dependent on what you're looking for in a car. And so it'd be unfair to pick one over the other. So we're calling it a tie between the IONIQ 6 and the Model 3.
So off you go. Go and book some test drives, try them out and let us know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and switch those notifications on, because it does make Nikki happy.
It does. It makes me really happy. Put a smile on my face.
Yeah, it makes me happy too.
So there you have it, a conclusion without a conclusion. Sorry about that. But don't forget, if you want to know anything more about anything to do with electric cars, then do pop over and see us at electrifying.com. Click the subscribe button because we are here to clear the air.